ceremony and you think that makes it real, then you should be able to pursue that as long as it's legal in the state you're living. But rather than try and force states that have voted on it to change their laws, maybe you should think about moving to a state that's already cool with it. And that doesn't mean you can't motivate, you can't have rallies, and can't try to convince the people of that state that they should change the law to accommodate you, as long as you go about it in a way that's reasonable. As long as you go about it in a way that's fair and respectful to the people around you. It's not about name-calling. It's not about making death threats. It's not about trying to bully your way into it. Because bullying's wrong. I know, because all the after-school specials and the Cartoon Network specials have been telling me that we should stop bullying. No more cyberbullying. No more real bullying. Bullying's bad. But when you try to force your moral code on someone else that has a different one, that's bullying, and that's wrong. When you have a legal apparatus of, if you don't comply with my wishes, I'm going to sue you, that's bullying, and that's wrong. And unfortunately, in many places, the government will be happy to help you to bully, to get your way. A study came out, it was either early this week or late last week. I don't recall exactly now. But it said close to 62%, it was 61 point something, close to 62% of Americans support legislation defining marriage as being between a man and a woman, or legislation that would protect the definition of marriage to be that. But that same study also showed that less than 30% of that 60% was willing to say so publicly. The number one reason? They were afraid of being branded as a bigot. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get past this name-calling stage. We got to get past being worried about it. Now, I was never particularly thin-skinned in the first place, which is why I don't mind getting on here and why I don't mind having people comment, saying negative things. I got plenty of negative comments for the show a couple weeks back on Sunday when Joe Silk was on. Mostly from people that didn't bother to listen to the interview. But that's fine. That doesn't bother me. Because again, it's easy enough to say, hey, for those of you that listen to the interview, you can instantly see these people are full of crap. I didn't respond to any of them because I didn't want to give them the credence. Nothing justified a response. But I haven't deleted any of them either. In fact, one of them is attached to the event page for that show. You can still find it on Facebook. It's very simple, blah, blah. And it was the first one I got, and it struck me the most. And I got several through private message at the website, tappintothetruth.com. That's TAPP, intothetruth.com. And, and it's fine, but these people, obviously, they didn't bother to listen. They just had heard the stories about Joseph Silk and what he had said, and the fact that he was on the show, and they know that I'm very conservative-minded. They just assumed what we'd be talking about. And that's fine. But again, you didn't respect me enough to listen to my show before you made comments about it. How do you expect to make movement towards your side of the argument if you support same-sex marriage? How do you get anybody's attention? How do you change anybody's mind if you come out the gate calling people names and making false accusations? That only works for the people who are right there with you that didn't bother to find out what was really said. Unfortunately, there's a ton of folks that will qualify for. They'll see that and they'll think, oh, you're fighting for our cause, yay, and never bothered to find out that it's about trying to start a conversation. And it's about making sure everyone's informed. Be informed. Find out the truth. Indiana's law, there's nothing in it that's dangerous towards the gay and lesbian community. Nothing in it like that. But to hear the media and to hear the celebrities and the politicians that have come flooding out against it, you certainly would think this was almost a Nazi-esque final declaration after Hitler had become the Fuhrer. It ain't like that. But the only way you're going to find that out is either listening to separate sources, finding out the truth, like places like here where we went over that information, or dig it up yourself. And I highly recommend that you dig it up yourself. Because at this point, there's so much disinformation, and there's not a lot of conflicting information, just a lot of disinformation, a lot of flat-out lies, a lot of exaggeration, and a lot of hyperbole with no real substance. And then there are a few sources here and there that are trying to get the truth out to you, but unfortunately, there's not enough of those, and it's hard to find them in the ocean of information about it. A title like, I need to get an x-ray, normally helps to lure people in to listen, and hopefully they listen long enough to get to this point and got some truth about this. If I had just titled it, Indiana Religious Reformation Law, a lot of people would have skipped over it because they've already heard enough about it. And I get that. I understand that. But it's a hot topic, and people are talking about it, so we got to talk about it here. It's just that simple. Got to talk about it. But it's important to get to the truth. Period. End of the discussion. Got to get to the truth. Alright, I want to take one more quick break, and when I get back, we're going to close up the show. Going to go ahead and close it down. I want to send a quick shout out to the folks that have stopped by into the chat room tonight. Thanks for being in. Glad folks are listening. Hope you are enjoying it. And again, if you have any comments you'd like to make, you can hop into the chat room and make those comments. We can have a little bit of a discussion about this if you'd like. You can type. You don't actually have to come on air. You can type, say what you have to say, and then we can go over it. If not, yeah, that's cool too. You also can send me emails directly at ttap@tapintothetruth.com, or you can go to the tapintothetruth.com website, and down near the bottom of the homepage there's a place where you can send messages, and I will check that, and so forth and so on. I welcome differing opinions, but I want to have a reasonable conversation if you're willing to put those forth. If you just want to say some stupid crap, just want to call names or shout at me, then don't waste your time. It won't get you anywhere. But if you want to have an actual conversation, you want to make some good points, we can discuss it. I've told you, I'm open to the discussion, but it actually has to be that. All right, in the meanwhile, here we go. Taking a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thanks for staying with me as we go through tonight's show. Again, remind you that most of the music that you will hear during the brief interludes and the breaks and what have you, provided by Magnatune. So if you're doing podcasts of your own, you might want to check them out. Everything is podcast safe. The artists are all independent, and I just like the idea of helping independent folks in the business, because here I am as an independent podcaster trying to make my way and make my name in the business, trying to become a name in talk. Well, I'm not trying as hard as I probably could or should if that's what my real goal was. But at any rate, check out Magnatune if you're interested. I get no kickbacks. I am not promoting them out of any self-interest. But I just know as a podcaster, sometimes it's hard to find reasonable podcast-safe music at a reasonable rate. And Magnatune has some pretty good different plans. And yeah, I use them. So that says enough about that. For those that are interested, if you're tired of all your liberal whiner people on Facebook, but you're still looking for a social media outlet, might I take the moment to recommend teapartycommunity.com. I've been a member of Tea Party Community myself for quite a while now. I was one of the earlier members, certainly not right out the bat original members, nothing like that. But when the numbers were still relatively small, I was signed up, and I've been very happy there now for several years. Again, no personal gain there. I'm not a spokesperson for them per se, but I have thoroughly enjoyed my membership there, and they have done a little bit here and there to help me promote my show, as well as on an occasion, one of the bigwigs that helped found TeaPartyCommunity.com was actually slated to be a guest on the show. We were talking about a rally in Texas, Patriots Rally for Freedom last year. Had a whole show dedicated to it and had different people on for it. It was actually a pretty good show, really, all in all. Some great interviews, and we had some discussions about different people's aspects and what the rally itself was really about and what the goals they were hoping to achieve and all that wonderful stuff. You know, that's the really great thing that I like about the other place where I broadcast, the Sunday show, because it's set up a lot easier for interviews. They can just call in, and you don't have to do a bunch of tie-in stuff. You don't have to pre-record, and it's really, really cool. But at any rate, TeaPartyCommunity.com is a great place to meet like-minded, liberty-minded individuals. A lot of libertarian folks hanging out there. A lot of heavy Tea Party types. Some of the tinfoil hat crowd hangs out there too. But I got to tell you, tinfoil hat group can be pretty entertaining. I have a tinfoil hat of my own when it comes to certain things. So. And I've said a multitude of times that if you have compelling evidence, I'm not going to dismiss your ideas right offhand, because unfortunately we know that our government is capable of many, many dark things. So we have to be prepared to call them out on it. We have to be prepared to listen to the crazies, because sometimes the crazies are only looking that way because of what the people who are up to no good have made them look like. Keep in mind, the black helicopters, for 2 decades, people were just crazy if they talked about those. And then the truth came out that they're real. And then the line became, well, yeah, but it's us doing it. We're the good guys, so you don't have to worry about it. Well, what about those guys you said were crazy? No, they'll be fine. Just something to keep in mind, back of your head. Not everybody that sounds crazy is crazy. So anyway, let's go ahead. I just wanted to make a few comments in closing in regards to the whole religious liberty thing. It comes down to a simple matter of moral dilemma. These states have to pass these laws now, if they hadn't already passed them, simply because there's a whole group of people that are being discriminated against under the current push. This group of people are typically members of the religious right. These people get battered by public opinion. The mainstream media tries so very hard to make these people look like they're all members of Westboro Baptist. Most Christians have very little in common with the folks at Westboro. I can't speak to the hearts and minds of each individual. I can't sit here and tell you that all Christians are good people. Because in order to be a Christian,